Welcome back to Better Takes. I'm Colton Mott, and this is Landon Islandworth. And today, on the second episode of Better Takes, we're going to be talking about Thor: The Dark World. To start off, we would like to... Not a good start. Good start.
Just like the Dark World.
Just like the Dark World. Yeah. Dark World is overall an okay movie. Kind of boring in plot, you know. A lot of the bits of the film are somewhat not interesting. There is some interesting stuff, like with the Aether, and some of the stuff with the Dark Elves is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it could have used another pass in writing.
Yeah. In my opinion, I feel like it takes itself too seriously.
In some parts, yeah. It does have the I guess iconic MCU jokiness to it, which can work, but also kind of detriments the film. One of the notes I have here is that Thor's jokiness often is too cocky. Like, there are moments in the film where they'll have jokes with Thor, but they'll more or less play off of the fact that Thor doesn't know a lot about Midgard, which I think should be like all of the jokes. Because obviously not like the same joke over and over again, but kind of like playing off the fact that Thor is like unfamiliar with Midgard, pretty much. Also, we're not going to go over any casting changes because most of the cast of this film are great actors. You know, I wouldn't dare change Tom Hiddleston as Loki or Chris Hemsworth as Thor or Anthony Hopkins as Odin. But one thing I will give for casting, not casting, but like the characters itself is, I do kind of wish that Loki had fur around his collar, like he does in Marvel Rivals.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree.
Same thing with Thor having collar. I also wish Thor had his helmet with the wings on it. Those are the only two things that I have for that. Yeah. But what else do we have? At the beginning, whenever Thor first shows up in Midgard, the camera, because what happens is Jane Foster and Darcy are talking to each other because they found like the Aether portal, and then, or not the Aether portal, but like they found where the Aether is, and then there's like a ring around them where like where, like it isn't raining, and then the camera just cuts to Thor in the rain.
Oh yeah.
Like he just appears out of nowhere, and I think he could have had like a more dramatic entrance. Or an entrance.
What is it? One of the things we have on here is the goofy funeral.
The funeral. So for those who, I guess, spoilers for Dark World, it's like a 10-year-old movie, not 20 years old. It's like a 10-year-old movie at this point. But Frigga, Thor's mother, does die in this movie, and
pretty much
They have, like, a Viking funeral. Yeah. And everything is fine until, like, because they have her floating off into, like, the distance. Yeah. But, like, Asgard is, like, a flat plane. And I guess the writers or the effects people just didn't know how to deal with that. So they kind of just have the boat go off.
And then she's still just floating there.
No. What happens is she, like, disintegrates into the air, and then the boat just drops. Just drops into an abyss. Which is a little goofy looking.
Yeah.
Because it goes off the edge a little bit and then drops. Also, one of the biggest problems with, and this is more or less a problem with the MCU in general, is they really underpower Thor in this. Like, Thor in the comics is like so much more powerful than he is in this movie, and I feel like to an extent, it's like I can understand kind of underpowering him, but like it feels like they do it a little too much, you know? It feels like he should be just wiping the floor with everyone in this movie.
But to be fair, they do that with a lot of the characters.
They do like scale back a lot of the characters' powers.
I guess maybe to make it seem more realistic, but also... it's a superhero movie.
But I mean, also, they're traveling between realms. There's dark elves. There's the Aether that can just make portals and make gravity go wonky. So I feel like realism is kind of out the window.
Fair.
One thing I will say that I do like about this movie, and there is a couple things I like about this movie. I love the scenes between Loki and Thor. The writing of them, they really do act like brothers, and I love the snarkiness coming from Tom Hiddleston.
I love the part where Loki is like bickering at Thor and Thor just throws him out of
Oh
the
yeah,
spaceship.
I also love because they take one of the Dark Elf ships that's been like crashed into the like the Asgard like castle or something, and then Thor is like turning around and he knocks out a bunch of columns, and Loki turns to him to go, "I think you missed a column."
Dude, it was so good.
Anyways, that's all we have for this episode of Better Takes. Join us next week and we'll have another film.
See ya.